And we're ready to start whenever you are.
Thank you, Ms. Tyson. I have 1 o'clock, so I'm going to call this virtual meeting to order. And ask that we roll, please.
Yes. Did you say you wanted me to call the roll?
Yes, please.
Okay. Chairman O'Bannon,
Here?
Vice Chair Dance,
Here.
Delegate Merricks,
Here.
Mr. Weinstein,
Here.
and George Alvis Long, I'm present.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody attending. I have hopefully a short agenda. I'm going to take the prerogative of sort of shepherding the old business items as they were heard at length in our meeting Tuesday. And then we will do the new business of the drawings for ballot order for the primaries on June the 20th. First order of old business is the voter registration applications. That relates to Senate Bill 1310 from Senator Deeds and House Bill 2024 from Delegate Lefwich. Wednesday, the General Assembly declined to accept governor's amendments. So those original bills are now back on the governor's desk. And as a result of that, we do have timeline obligations on finishing these form applications and getting them out where they can be used for this cycle. So that's basically the bottom line. And have any questions? Is there any public question about this issue, Ms. Tyson?
I have no comment.
All right. Is there a motion?
Sure, I will make the motion, Mr. Chair. All right, I move that the State Board of Elections approve the amended Virginia voter registration application pursuant to 1 VAC 20-40 in the 2023 session of the General Assembly pending enactment of House Bill 2024 and Senate Bill 1310 to be effective July 1, 2023. And just to clarify, I made one nitpicky change there as a lawyer. Instead of saying pending final passage, because these bills have passed, it's pending enactment.
Absent, we'll appreciate that as a substantive technical change. And is there a second to that motion?
I second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Yes. Chairman O'Bannon,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dance,
Aye.
Delegate Merricks,
Aye.
Mr. Weinstein,
Aye.
Secretary Alvis Long, aye.
All right. Thank you all very much. The second order of old business is the certification of the no ink electronic poll book. At our meeting Tuesday, citizen comment noted that the actual certification for this specific set of poll books did not document involvement of the electoral board. In your working papers today, there is a letter from Mark Coakley, who is the registrar at Enrico, documenting that that process of certifying those poll books was in fact repeated yesterday with a member of the electoral board in attendance, and that was successfully accomplished. And that letter is in our working papers. I think that satisfies that concern raised the other day. Any members of the board have any questions on that? Any members of the public have any questions on that? Ms. Tyson?
I have no public comment.
All right, absent objection, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board certify the use of No-Link Poll Pad Plus version 3.4 for elections in the Commonwealth of Virginia pursuant to the state certification of electronic poll books requirements and procedures.
Thank you, sir. Second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Chairman O'Bannon,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dance,
Aye.
Delegate Merricks,
Aye.
Mr. Weinstein,
Aye.
Secretary Alvis Long, aye.
All right, thank you all very much. That completes the old business agenda. Now going to turn it over to Mr. Saunders for their new business. This basically consists of drawings based on our usual process for placement of names on the ballots for the primary elections June 20th. If you all that follow this know that we actually passed a resolution earlier in the year to deal with this in the general elections, but that provision does not include the primary elections, and therefore we have to go through that process today. So I'll turn it now over to Mr. Saunders.
We can't hear you, Paul.
Can you hear me now? Okay. The commissioner and I are prepared to conduct the ballot.
Closer
Turn
to
the
the
sound
mic
up.
or louder?
Not sure where the microphone is. Can you hear me now?
Better.
All right. The commissioner and I are prepared to conduct a ballot order drawing on behalf of the board today. Have included a motion for the board to make when we have completed the drawing to certify that order. So if you're ready, we are, sir.
So just so I understand, you're going to do these and then we're going to vote them as a block after you have drawn them all?
Yes, sir. That's
Any
the motion that I
objection to
included.
that from the board? Any comment from the public on that? Okay, thank you. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir.
The first one we're going to do is House District 7. This is for a Democratic primary. The names that we're going to place are Paul Berry, Karen Pease Gamara, and Shamali Roy House. Okay, mix them in the bowl. Pull in order. So first on the ballot will be Paul Berry. Second on the ballot will be Karen Pease Gamara. And third on the ballot will be Shamali Roy House. That's for the 7th House of Delegates district.
For the 19th District House of Delegates for the Democrat Party, candidates on that will be drawing for on the ballot will be Rosia Henson Jr., Nakia Little. Let me do that. And the first name on the ballot will be Rosia Henson Jr. Leaves. Yeah, a little.
Next, for the House of Delegates Republican primary in the 21st district, we have Joshua Quill, and John Stirrup. The bowl. First one on the ballot is John Stirrup. Second one on the ballot is Joshua Quill.
39th District House Delegates Republican Party. For William Davis. Ron Jefferson. First on the ballot. Ron Jefferson. Second, William Davis.
For the 47th House of Delegates District Republican primary, the names are Maureen Mart, and Ren Williams. Second on the ballot.
Member. Kellen Squire. And Amy Laufer. First on the ballot, Amy Laufer. And second, Kellen Squire.
For the 57th House of Delegates District Democratic primary, the names are Susanna Gibson, and Robert Bob Sippy. And the first name on the ballot is Susan. Second name on the ballot is Bob Sippy.
59th District, Member House Delegates, Republican Party. Drawing for Graven Craig. And Buddy Fowler Jr.
Is there room for public comment?
I don't think there's any, unless it's a procedural issue, I think the time for public comment on this has passed.
Okay, I was just going to ask to repeat.
Okay, go ahead, briefly state your comment.
I was wondering if you could repeat the 59th district.
That's what we're doing now, I think.
That's the one we're drawing currently for.
Yeah. Proceed, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First on the ballot for the 59th District, Buddy Fowler Jr.
I will ask Mr. Saunders and Ms. Beals, it is much more helpful if you get close to the mic and appreciate your alacrity, but just be clear when you do the names. Thank you.
Will do, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Second on the ballot, Graven Craig.
In the House of Delegates, 73rd District, the Republican primary, the candidates are Ryan Harder, and Mark Early Jr. First one on the ballot, Mark Early Jr. The second one on the ballot is Ryan Harder.
Member House of Delegates 79th District for Democrat Party, drawing for Richard Walker. And Ray Cousins. First would be Ray Cousins. And second, Richard Walker.
For the House of Delegates 82nd District for the Democrat primary, the candidates are Victor McKenzie, and Kimberly Pope Adams. First one on the ballot is Victor McKenzie. The second one on the ballot is Kimberly Pope Adams.
Member House of Delegates 92nd District, Democrat Party, drawing for Kim Sutter. And Bonita Anthony. First on the ballot is Kim Sutter. Second, Bonita Anthony.
For the House of Delegates 96th Democrat primary, we have Sean Monteiro, and Brandon C. Hutchins. The first one on the ballot is Brandon C. Hutchins. The second one on the ballot is Sean Monteiro.
Commissioner Beals,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. I'm going to slow us down just for a second after finishing the House, as Terry Smithson, who I think is the registrar in Hanover, has asked in the chat about the 59th.
We are checking on that right now, sir.
Pardon?
We are checking on that right now.
Oh, okay, so we'll check on that for Ms. Smithson. You can proceed with the Senate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that, Mr. Chairman. For Senator Virginia District 1, for Republican Party, we're drawing for Timmy French. James Brigida. Brandon Monk. And Dave LaRock. First would be Brandon Monk. Followed by Dave LaRock. And Timmy French. And lastly, Dave Brigida.
This is the Senate 11th District, the Democrat primary. Sally Hudson. Just to update everybody on the Philip Strother question, he qualified significantly after the original two people that filed simultaneously. So we only had to poll for the two who filed simultaneously. He is qualified for the ballot. The other two qualified in March, he qualified in April. So that is why we didn't pull his name.
So he will, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And it just reinforces our rules. If you file simultaneously, you wind up here today. And so the 59th, those two that we drew will be on the ballot as they came out of the bowl. And Mr. Strother will be on the ballot as the third name. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, so back to the Senate 11th Democrat primary. We have Sally Hudson. And Craig Eads. First on the ballot is Sally Hudson. Second on the ballot is Craig Eads.
For Senator Virginia, 12th District, Republican Party, drawing for Amanda Chase. Tina Ramirez. Glenn Sturdivant. First on the ballot will be Glenn Sturdivant. Followed by Amanda Chase. And Tina Ramirez.
In Senate District 18 for the Democratic primary, we have Louise Lucas. And Lionel Sproul. first one on the ballot will be Louis Lucas. The second one on the ballot will be Lionel Sproul.
For Senate of Virginia, District 21, Democratic Party, drawing for Andrea McClellan. And then Julia Graves. First on the ballot, then Julia Graves. Followed by Andrea McClellan.
For the 27th Senate District for the Democratic primary, the candidates are Luke Wright, and Benjamin Litchfield. First one on the ballot is Benjamin Litchfield. The second one on the ballot is Luke Wright.
Member Senate of Virginia, District 29, Democrat Party, drawing for Jeremy McPike. And Elizabeth Guzman. First on the ballot, Elizabeth Guzman. Followed by Jeremy McPike.
For the 35th Senate District, the Democratic primary, the candidates are Heidi Marie Droshuk, and David Marsden. And the first one on the ballot is David Marsden. The second one on the ballot is Heidi Marie Droshuk.
For the 36th District, Senate of Virginia, Democrat Party, drawing for George Lincoln Barker. And Stella Pekarsky. First on the ballot, Stella Pekarsky. And George Barker.
For the 37th Senate District, the Democratic primary, the candidates are Pat Peterson, and Saddam Aslan Salim. First one listed on the ballot is Pat Peterson. The second one listed on the ballot is Saddam Aslan Salim.
For the 40th District, Senate of Virginia, Democrat Party, drawing for Barbara Favola. And James DeVito. First on the ballot, James DeVito. Barbara Favola.
Finally, the 25th drawing today is for the Commonwealth's Attorney in Falls Church in Arlington, which is a shared constitutional office. The candidates are Josh Hatcher, and Parisa Dagani Hockey. And the first one on the ballot is Josh Hatcher. And the second one is Parisa Dagani Hockey. That concludes our drawings.
All right, I want to thank the commissioner and Mr. Saunders for their diligence. The names as presented have been properly drawn. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that the board certify the information by lot of the order of candidates on the ballot for primary elections to be held on June 20th, 2023.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yep, second.
Thank you, sir. Call the roll, please, Madam Secretary.
Chairman O'Bannon,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dance,
Aye.
Delegate Merrick's,
Aye.
Mr. Weinstein,
Aye.
Secretary Elvis Long, aye.
Great. Thank you all very much. There have been two comments made in the chat as we have been through this part of the agenda, and I'm going to go ahead and deal with those now. First from Roseanne Bencoach. I appreciate the grammar. We will spell Mark Early's name for the 73rd House District, E-A-R-L-E-Y. And for Ms. Gregorian, we did not rediscuss the issue with Henrico County's knowing because it was discussed in the meeting Tuesday, and then the vote was deferred to this one. So somebody wants to know about House District 79 Democratic primary. That was Cousins and Walker. So these will all be published. We've got two comments here, so we have those immediately available. Commissioner Beals, House District 79 Democrat primary.
We are bringing the staff person back in who took those down.
And then for Senate District 4, it's not,
So Senate District 4, I don't believe was on the list that we pulled.
that was not on the list. Now, is that in 79th? We've gotten a comment from Alex Nichols that has something to do with Ann Francis Lambert.
It was Cousins and then Walker. That was the way that they were pulled in the 79.
It was Cousins and Walker not in that. Is she a late filer, perhaps? Or?
We can check that one out as well if you would like.
All right, why don't we check that one out? And in the meantime, the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and, okay, so Alex Nichols has rescinded his question. I think the rest of these you will get as we post them.
Yes, sir. A preliminary list of qualified candidates will be posted on the Virginia Department of Elections website on Monday.
All right. Thank you very much. So at this point, I'm going to open the meeting up to public comment on anything that is not on today's agenda. So Ms. Tyson, whom do you have waiting to speak?
I have no public comment.
I'm sorry, I had my hand raised.
I'm
I
sorry.
see two hands raised that may have used the hand raising. So
I have Susan.
Swecker?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Susan Swecker, and I'm the chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Virginia. Virginia has had a reputation, no matter which party holds the governorship, of running fair elections in a professional manner. Recent actions in Buckingham and Lynchburg threaten to undermine all that. I want to reference a letter that Republican Party Chair Rich Anderson and I received last year from then Chairman Bob Brink, dated April 22nd, that referenced the Code of Virginia, Section 24.2-103, and the responsibilities of state parties in coordinating with local electoral boards. I quote, "Although the bipartisan board is appointed by the circuit court based on local party recommendations, each member must carry out their official duties in a nonpartisan manner. Electoral board members must demonstrate the ability to work collaboratively with the other members of their board in the conduct of elections and in making decisions regarding budget, employment, and election law issues." NBC News reported that Rick Caldwell, a Republican who served on the electoral board through last year, said local Republican leadership told him the state GOP expected elected electoral board members to be more involved in local Republican politics. That would contradict the intent of Mr. Brink's letter. Also, there is clear legal precedent that registrars shall not be let go without cause. Yet electoral boards in these two localities have taken the unusual step of posting the job when the term is up, despite no poor yearly reviews. I want to reiterate, Virginia runs free and fair elections, regardless of the party in power and regardless of the outcome. We have hardworking registrars and local election staff. We have a hardworking commissioner, Susan Bills, and State Department of Election staff. I appreciate how they stepped up to help the situation in Buckingham, but it should never have gotten that far. This is what happens when you give legitimacy to election deniers. This is what happens when the people who show up with their binders full of research they did on the internet aren't immediately dismissed by leaders in both parties. I would respectfully ask today that this new board, composed of highly qualified individuals who understand what is at stake, speak up strongly and firmly about the need to conduct our election business with the utmost integrity and professionalism and immediately debunk the false claims of election fraud. I ask also that the agency, under the leadership of Commissioner Bills, as well as the Office of Governor Glenn Youngkin, do the same. And finally, I would ask that, as Chairman Brink did in 2022, that this State Board of Elections put these principles in writing and distribute them to both parties, registrars, and electoral board members. Thank you so much for your time and hearing me out.
Thank you very much, Ms. Swecker. I've only been involved on this board for 4 or 5 years, but it has made me quite aware of the fact that in Virginia, we have a system that includes some natural tensions as the governor's mansion changes and these electoral board members turn over, have the job hiring the registrar. I don't think either party is without some culpability here historically. But I appreciate the admonition, and I can assure you that I think we have had input from both sides that we all want very highly qualified members of their electoral boards in all these localities. So I appreciate your comments very much. Any other members of the public?
Yes, Chairman O'Bannon, this is Chris Woodfin.
Yes, sir.
I would just like to take a couple of moments to address something that occurred at the Tuesday Electoral Board meeting. I know many of you on here know who I am or know what I do.
Mr. Woodfin, can you slow down just a minute? Identify yourself and what locality that you're talking about.
I apologize. I have a tendency to speak rather quickly. My name is Chris Woodfin. I'm an attorney in Williamsburg, James City County, and a large portion of my practice is election law, ballot access, government compliance. And I would just like to comment, the last time I was in front of this board speaking was 4 years ago, when I was asked, or it wasn't this board, the old board, for an extension on a 501 form for Delegate Nick Freitas. It was denied. Delegate Nick Freitas spent over $500,000 to run as a write-in because the board denied the extension. So I was a little bit shocked to see the reversal of that on Tuesday when they granted extensions to those that were late. And then I would just like to add, and I'm not expecting anything to change, but I would just like to add on a personal note, I've got this cycle, I've had 15 General Assembly clients, 2 partisan local clients, and 9 nonpartisan local clients, and every one of them have gotten their paperwork in on time. So if the board just grants extensions, in a sense, it diminishes my value for people to actually hire somebody that knows what they're doing or to get them to be able to read an election bulletin. So I would just like to comment, I do not think it was appropriate to be granting extensions. I understand it is the board's prerogative to do so. But of course, my position would be that that everybody should be held to the same timelines. But thank you for your time.
Actually, I appreciate those comments very much because we really did have a difficult decision to make the other day. And I'm aware that there is a history of this from being totally blanket, wide open to being much more stringent. And I think, I can't speak for the other members of the board, but I do think it was a unanimous vote that the rather unique nature of this year being a redistricting year with nature of the redistricting being totally nonpartisan presented a somewhat different set of circumstances. I'm also not speaking for the board when I say that from my perspective going forward, the folks who just want to run for office should not assume we're going to get an automatic extension. And I think we'll be looking at some ways to streamline the process so that when candidates file their paperwork, they can be assured that it gets to the right place and that they get a response from the department so that that loop is not as open-ended as it has been. So we will take those comments to heart. All right, any other members of the public? Any members of the board have any additional comments or thoughts you might have on the last public comment issue? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to follow up on the question about the 79th House District and Ann Francis Lambert. Again, that was a situation where she filed at a different time than the other 2. So she will appear on the ballot. We just had to do the simultaneous filer drawing for those 2 candidates.
All right, I appreciate that. I think we're just trying to follow the law and get everybody's name appropriately on the ballot. So, all right, if there's no additional business, I will ask that we go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much.